With WWE looking to secure a top star's contract extension and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Going over the condition of Zelina Vega on the blue brand last Friday, the Wrestling Observer newsletter wrote Vega was ill coming into the December 15th Smackdown tapings, but worked 2 matches on the show. Revealing how he has been inspired to do more charity work by Mick Foley, heavy metal legend Dee Snider told Side Jams Mick Foley, the wrestler, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and all of those characters, he and I became very good friends. We lived near each other on Long Island and we met and connected. Mick does insane amount of charity and without making a big deal about it, amazing. Put it this way, the man's married and he's got 3 or 4 kids. Mick would just in his spare time go and knock on doors and show up at kids' houses that he knew were dying of cancer and were fans of his and hang out and watch TV with them. And he called me one day and says, listen, I'm visiting a kid in the hospital. He's got leukemia. He's a big fan of yours. Would you come with me? So I went to the hospital and met this kid and saw what the kid got out of it, out of just that moment. When Mick drove me home, I said, Mick, you made me a better man today. I'm getting a little choked up because I was so shaken. I said to myself, look at what Mick does and look at what you don't do. At the point, it was in the early 2000s where I said, I need to do more. I need to give back. I need to say yes. And not just send a guitar. By the way, all celebrities get these invitations, these opportunities to do more, and most of us just blow it off or send them an autographed picture or something. Thank you, Mick Foley, for waking me up and showing me that we can help. And there's something more that we need to do. For more details on Charlotte Flair re-signing with WWE, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that regarding the reports Flair signed a multi-year deal, it's accurate, but that deal was actually signed several months ago. Going over how successful the Raw and Smackdown shows set for WrestleMania weekend could be, the Wrestling Observer newsletter said the Smackdown and Raw shows in Philadelphia for WrestleMania weekend could end up as the highest grossing episodes of each show, at least in North America, because the shows will sell out or come loose, and they've jacked up the ticket prices. The lowest price for the Upper Deck is $81 for each show, and that would be the highest for each. Lots of Upper Deck seats are going for more than $100. Recalling his time as Ring of Honor World Champion, Chris Jericho said this to the Dallas Morning News. I think it was a pretty cool time for Ring of Honor. It was a good idea for Tony Khan to have me as the champion because I think he put a lot of eyeballs on the company and kind of really put that title under the spotlight with defending it as much as I did. Jericho then said this regarding his loss of the title to Claudio Castagnoli at ROH Final Battle last year. That's when we did the finish where I tapped out to the giant swing, which I thought was so creative. I don't know if anyone has done it since, but I just thought it was the best way to lose the title. I think the whole Chris Jericho's Ring of Honor champion experiment was a huge success, culminating in this great match at Final Battle. With fans wondering who will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame next year, it seems that Triple H will have the responsibility of deciding who goes in, as the Wrestling Observer newsletter said. Regarding the Hall of Fame, this year will fall under Paul Levesque for the first time instead of Vince McMahon. It's likely still the same basic rules regarding women, minorities, and characters that the audience would know, and those who make sense politically for a variety of reasons. I think Levesque may be a little more open to certain types since he was a fan of more than just WWE, but once WWE owned the tape libraries, a lot of that stigma was gone. I was told that, for example, if there is a political reason to put someone in that Nick Khan would want, that would be a factor, but the Hall of Fame is under creative, and that's Levesque's department, and he'd in theory sign off on everyone. Showing off his body transformation, TNA star Moose posted side-by-side photos riding 276 pounds November 1st, 264 pounds November 23rd, 252 pounds December 20th. All it took was Coach Scott D'Amore telling me I was chubby. The truth hurts at times, but is definitely needed. Following 27 years in the pro wrestling business, former TNA star Patrick Scholes announced on Instagram, "Dear friends, some of you were there live, some of you may have already noticed. After my tag team title match last Friday at the EWA in Vienna Prater, I announced my official retirement from pro wrestling. Not because I don't want to or can't anymore, quite the opposite. I have to admit, Udo Lindenberg and Apache inspired me here, and when I leave, I'll leave as I came, like a comet. I wanted to say goodbye with dignity and with a bang, and I couldn't have asked for a better occasion than a day of team match with three of my longest and best friends in the business in the catch tent on the Vienna Prater in front of this amazing and crazy audience. It was a very emotional moment for me, and for once, it was hard for me to find words on the mic. I would like to thank everyone who was there and the entire locker room for your appreciation and your standing ovations. This meant a lot to me, and I couldn't have asked for a better night. 2 days have passed since then. This morning I woke up and seriously thought to myself, was this all just a dream? And yes, that was it, a dream that became a reality for me and that I was allowed to live for 25 years. I loved every single second of it so much and am beyond blessed that I had the chance to experience so many incredible moments that no money in the world could buy. We all know how the normal society reacts to pro wrestling. Everything is just a game, nothing is real, it's just fake. For me, however, it was exactly the opposite. Only in wrestling I could really be real, really me as a person as I would be when nobody was looking. For me, everything is real in wrestling than in normal life. Everything is more intense. Friendship, collegiate, enemies, ups and downs, high flights and deep falls, and all over again. Damn how much I love it. It has been an honor and pleasure to entertain, inspire, or work with you, and of course, to be able to celebrate with you. Right Pack for life. Talk about a possible WWE comeback. Keith Slater told Rewind, Recap, Relive, "If I ever got the call to say, hey man, we want to hit the 3MB music and have you come out in the Royal Rumble, I would say, well, hell yeah, let's do it. Those are the moments that live on. Those are the moments that you remember. Those are the moments that you get excited and fun." As CJ Perry ended up missing a couple shows due to an infection, she provided an update with a graphic photo writing, "After surgery and over 5 days in the hospital, thank you all for the love." As Kenny Omega would end up hospitalized due to diverticulitis. This was said regarding his health in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. At the December 13th show in Arlington, Texas, the pain was very clear backstage, and after doing his promo, ended up in the hospital where he got the diagnosis. He was told when diagnosed that he was very lucky he went in because the situation could have been catastrophic, such as getting a blood infection if he wasn't diagnosed at the time he was, which would have something like a 50% chance of death. Explaining the situation with AEW potentially negotiating with other networks for their TV rights deals, the Wrestling Observer newsletter said AEW would be home free financially and Fox's bottom line would be far better with even a $125 million deal for the one show, and Rampage and Collision would be effective on FS1 for additional, stronger than usual weekly programming. In addition, Dynamite draws an audience that earns 28% more money than the Smackdown audience, which is a huge difference because of Smackdown's issues with ad rates, but Fox isn't spending as big on streaming on ESPN and Warner Brothers Discovery and doesn't have the in-house pay-per-view component. But would Fox want to go with the number 2 brand, have the stigma of lower ratings, and get back into wrestling right now? I'm guessing no. AEW doesn't really fit on Discovery, and that's the WBD family. Outside of WBD, ESPN, and Fox, the other potential stations like FX, FS1, or ESPN2 do roughly 1/3 of what TNT does on average. TNT's average is boosted by the NBA, and less than half of what TBS does. Besides needing a rights increase or the long-term financial goals for the company wouldn't be met, a station move would also lower exposure, similar to what happened at TNA when it lost Spike and the ratings on the new station went way down, as did company overall popularity. AEW would likely continue, but would have to restructure in some form based on rights fees fees unless the new station was willing to pay at least 19 to 30% more than AEW's expected 2024 deal with WBD for it to be profitable, and it could be slightly above that if it's not Fox or ESPN to make up for some likely declines on another station due to lesser exposure. Mentioning the prospect of WWE Raw heading to Warner Bros. Discovery, it was noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Raw going to TBS or TNT in theory shouldn't hurt the audience and probably would help it, as those stations are higher rated than USA. Raw, if put on TBS, would get a much higher lead-in from Big Bang Theory than it got on USA, as well as a younger based audience. It would deliver significantly higher ratings at a significantly higher cost and would boost the ratings for the station as a whole significantly. AEW Dynamite does above the average rating for TBS, and most weeks beats what TNT would do with movies in the Collision and Rampage time slots, but would not make the overall difference Raw would. After undergoing a second shoulder surgery this month, Bruce Pritchard gave an update on his health, saying on his Something to Wrestle podcast, "Shoulder hurts. I feel like dog that has been warmed up unnaturally. Not like in a microwave, like one that came out pretty mushy but still formed. I got this hose. I was trying to explain this and then I said I'll do it. So I'm wearing my ice machine. I'm like Mr. Freeze right now. Because see, this here hose right here, this blue hose connects to the apparatus on my shoulder down there, and then through these tubular tubes they put icy coldness on my shoulder, all over my shoulder, so it has to make sure that I keep it iced at all times because I had major surgery that messed up my thing. Last time I had a shoulder surgery, it was like I was out, and that day I was in a meeting. The next day I was in a meeting and I went, and I never ever had the pain like people talk about with shoulder surgery. Everybody told me, oh, this will be the worst thing you ever do. And so this time I was expecting it to be like last time, which I had no pain, like zero pain. This one is like the one where they tell you, oh yeah man, this sucks. Out of all them surgeries that you want to get, this is why this one is at the bottom of the list, and you gotta wear this thing all the time, and you gotta keep it full of cold ice, okay? Then you have to sleep in an upright position. During a commercial break for AEW Dynamite, Tony Khan welcomed back Jim Ross. Ross then said this on if he'd be commentating AEW World's End. I think it's doubtful, but I don't know. That's entirely up to Tony. We haven't discussed it, and going to Long Island in December when I haven't had a trip that long in a while is not something I would relish. However, if called upon, I will come play, and I will play as best I can, so I don't know. I'm not being evasive. I'd like to say, yeah, I'm going to be there, buy the pay-per-view, but I don't know. You should still buy the pay-per-view. Calling out WWE for their angle on NXT, where Ridge Holland in storyline injured NXT champion Ilya Dragunov. Thunder Rosa said on Busted Open Radio, when you have to run angles when it's very close to reality. His opponent, of course, was the one who was in the ring when Big E got hurt, and he got hurt fairly badly to the point where it's an ending career injury. It got intense on Twitter because people were calling him Holland, all kinds of stuff, probably even got death threats, who knows. For me personally, there are certain things that they have to have a big payoff, and I think you have to be in the ring and you have to sign it with blood. When you're playing with fire with somebody who already has a bad track record, it's going to be difficult. If they label him as an unsafe worker and they then do this and it turns out to be true, what else are they going to do? Going over plans for the Authors of Pain to return to WWE programming, Sean Ross Sapp said Fightful Select has learned that the Authors of Pain, aka AOP, are planned for a return to WWE TV soon. Specifically, we're told that the working plan for them as of now is for them to appear on the Smackdown brand, though that could always change. Making an appearance for Game Changer Wrestling, former WWE star AJ Francis, known as Top Dollar in the company, attacked Joey Janela and is set to face him on January 26th. Here are the clips.
What is going on? I can't tell who that is. Francis? Just choking Janela on the second rope. What? We know that.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is A.J. Francis.
On Instagram, former WWE star Jessica McKay posted a photo of her newborn riding Cooper, December 20th, 2023, so in love with our little Coop. Taking to X, Nature Boy Ric Flair promoted his new crypto project, posting this video.
Are you ready for the crypto phenomena? Buy WooCoin today with 5 O's and then begin to style and profile. Walk that aisle. Be custom made. Fly in crypto Lear jets. Live the life of the king like the Nature Boy. WooCoin, 5 O's. Live the crypto phenomena. Woo!
Speaking about Charlotte Flair's recent knee injury that has taken her out of action, Ric Flair said this to the Wrestling Classic. I told her, Charlotte Flair, she'll come back from this injury. It stressed her out because she hasn't been hurt in a long time, but she's so muscled up, and I mean, she'll come through the surgery and they'll put some stem cells in her and she'll come back and it'll be the greatest storyline of all time. She and Bayley and Io Sky and all those guys and Asuka, I mean, and there are more people for her to still wrestle. She's got so much going on for her. Touching on the WWE return of CM Punk, former WWE star Matt Riddle told MMA Junkie, I'm not surprised because WWE, they like money and CM Punk is money, just like he was money in mixed martial arts. You can't argue with a man that is money. That's like with UFC. I know if I fight, I'll sell tickets. It's just if they want it. Asked if he was a locker room leader in AEW, world champion of the company, MJF said on SI Media Podcast, do I consider myself a locker room leader? No, when I think of locker room leaders, I think of people who are unabashedly willing to stand in front of the entire locker room and with verbose say, here's what we need to do. When I think of that, I think of guys like Danielson, like Moxley, Eddie Kingston, like Dax Harwood, Chris Jericho. These are the guys who are not afraid to stand in front of everybody and say, hey, this is the way it's meant to be done. And when I say that, I mean that in a positive light. I don't feel it's my place to do that, but I am more. And I do give advice when I'm asked for it, and I'm frankly asked for it a lot, but I'm not afraid to give advice because I know I've earned the right to do so, but no, I wouldn't consider myself a locker room leader. On an episode of the Wrestling Time Machine show on WrestleBinge, Teddy Long said this about an encounter he had with an AEW employee. Do you, and I'll say this, and I won't say who told me, but do you know, one of the guys that worked there had the nerve to walk up to me, now I didn't ask for this, and told me, oh, by the way, AEW told me to let you know that we're not hiring any old people. I swear, they walked up to me out of the blue. I didn't ask for that. Who cares about? I'm not asking nobody for a job there, but this is what this guy walked up and told me. As she and Cora Jade were accused by former NXT star Alexis Leet in a now deleted video of seemingly making light of her release from WWE, Roxanne Perez has apparently responded to this by posting this photo which reads, you can be a kind person with a good heart and still tell people to F off when needed. As Xavier Woods was pulled from travels in WWE due to an undisclosed injury, an update was given as it was said that, for those who have asked, PWInsider.com is told by WWE sources that they expect Xavier Woods back on the road within the first 2 weeks of January. We have been cautioned that this is the tentative plan. Giving a timeline for Charlotte Flair to return to action following her knee injury, it was said that PWInsider.com has been told by WWE sources that Charlotte Flair is scheduled for knee surgery in early January. If the 9-month estimate that was publicly stated by WWE is true, that would put her at an October 2024 return. Reporting on plans for AJ Styles following his shocking return to WWE on Smackdown, Sean Ross Sapp said that sources tell Corey Brennan that as of now, the direction is for Styles to be somewhat justified in his attack of LA Knight. Another source told Fightful it's a bit of a choose-your-own-adventure situation with Styles. As with any of these situations, creative plans can and will change. As Cody Rhodes is one of WWE's biggest stars, it looks as though the company is trying to keep him around, as it was said that sources have confirmed to Fightful that WWE has been engaged in talks with Cody Rhodes about a multi-year contract extension. Based on what we're told, WWE is trying to lock him down long-term. Of late, WWE has extended the contracts of Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Rey Mysterio, and Dominic Mysterio. Rhodes would be a monumental re-signing for the company. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.